What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips for wide receivers to improve their quickness. So we're going to be talking about how you guys can get quicker off the line of scrimmage with this example here from Evan Stewart. Then we're going to look at a route from Cooper Kupp and how you guys can improve quickness at the top of the route. And then one other thing from that slot wide receiver out of UCLA, Kyle Phillips, on how you guys can get a quicker crossover release. So I hope this video helps you guys out. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you got to improve your skills this offseason and you want to get some training in with us, check out that very first link in the description below. We are traveling out to 6 more states across the country for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So our next stop this weekend is going to be in Columbus, Ohio. Then we're heading out to Chicago, Illinois the following weekend. Then we'll be in Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys are local to one of those cities or would like to travel out and get some work in with us, fellas, check out that very first link in the description below. We would love to have you out to one of our camps. Let's get started. So first release here from Evan Stewart is going to be something we call a dive release. So a dive release is one of those releases where you have to be quick. You can't do this type of release if it's slow. So what are some mechanical aspects that can improve that? So a dive is where you pretty much just cross this DB's face. You take 2 to 3 steps on a 45-degree angle to get him to bite on a drag, get him to bite on a slant, and then we slip back outside and we could run a fade, run an out, whatever it might be. So I'm going to play this full speed. So you see how Stewart, he's got that very quick change of direction right there. He puts his foot in the ground. He's able to burst back up vertical. How are we able to do that? Because this is something mechanically that wide receivers can improve on. Now, obviously, to build quickness, there are a lot of drills you can do. You know, there's a lot of footwork drills you can do. There are a lot of exercises in the gym to improve those fast twitch muscle fibers to give you that explosion. But mechanically, wide receivers are explosive and they don't make that quick change of direction because they don't know how. And so when you guys are making a cut, you have to force yourself to commit to the cut like Stewart does right here, right? So we talk a lot about being sudden with your feet. What does that actually mean? So many wide receivers, before they make this break, before they make a cut, whether that's like they're running a post route or whether they're doing a dive release like so, they will start to turn their shoulders and turn their hips before that foot gets down. So, right, so Stewart is making this release here. He gives this like kind of jab move to the outside and he's taking 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. But before that third step gets down, wide receivers will love to telegraph where they're going. They'll open up their shoulder, they'll open up their hip, and it tells the DB that, hey, I'm breaking out this way, but 2, you're already changing direction with the upper half. So you no longer need the cut to be sudden. You no longer need the cut to be explosive because you're pretty much already getting out of the break. But the problem is when you don't have that quick cut, you don't have that explosive cut, you won't have any drive out of the break. You're going to be slow, and when you're slow out of the break and don't have that quickness, that DB is able to recover. So how you guys can focus on doing this is you want to commit your hips and you want to commit your shoulders to every single cut that you do. For example, if he's running a post route, and let's say the break point is right here, he'd be breaking off his right foot, right? And let's say it's like the 3rd outside step. So he steps 1, 2, and then 3. That 3rd outside, you shouldn't be rounding your hips and shoulders to the post before you cut off of that foot. That foot should be the only thing that's cutting you, and that's what's changing direction. That almost forces your body, it forces yourself to be sudden. So first thing you got to do to improve that quickness, fellas, is commit the hips and the shoulders to the cut so that cut can be sudden, and the suddenness of that cut will give you that explosive change of direction. Let's play this thing again full speed one more time, then we'll look at this router from Cooper Kupp and how you guys can be more explosive at the top of the route by striking the ground correctly. So we're looking at Cooper Kupp, and he does this quick 3-step break at the top of this route. So a lot of wide receivers struggle with this, right? Being able to make a tight cut on a 90-degree angle, making a tight cut whether it's a dig, and just mainly just getting that quickness to their feet. So when you guys are at the top of the route, we talked a lot about before committing your hips and your shoulders, and you definitely want to do that. But to give you that suddenness, to give you that explosiveness, you need to make sure that you are striking the ground on the arch of your foot. So many wide receivers, what they'll do is that when they strike the ground on a cut, they will not be on the middle arch of their foot like you see Cooper Kupp is right here. What they'll do is they'll strike on their heel. And when you strike on your heel, fellas, all that energy that you're trying to create with this cut will shoot directly up in the air. And usually guys like to cut off their heel when they reach out for it and they over-exaggerate their cuts. They try to reach out for a break or reach out and get a depth. We do not want to do that. We want to keep that cut inside my frame so I'm balanced balanced, but the foot strike being on the arch of your foot is what gives you that quickness and that push off of there, right? So what Cup is doing is he's doing a move we call a triple rocker step, where he's going left, so he goes left, right? It's 3 hard steps at the top of this break. Now, that's to sell like he's running a post route off of a regular rocker step, which is essentially just a 1-2 at the top of the route. But to give you the quickness that you need in those 3 steps, to 1, have balance, but to 2, make it actually look like a post, every single time you strike the ground, it needs to be on the arch of your foot. Now, a lot of times people misinterpret what I'm saying when I say arch, because when I say strike on the arch, a lot of people think, oh, I want to strike on like the inside arch of your foot. You don't want to strike on the inside arch of your foot because that can put a lot of pressure on your knee. You want to strike on that middle arch of the foot, and then you want to push off of the inside arch to drive you out of this break. Rather than striking on the arch and pushing upward, you want to strike on the arch and push out. That's what I mean by inside arch, if you've ever heard me say that before. But just make sure, fellas, you have to commit to the break, hips and shoulders, number 1. Number 2, no matter what cut it is, off the line of scrimmage, at the top of the route, you got to strike that ground on the arch of your foot. That's where your explosion comes from. That's where your balance comes from. But more importantly, that's where that quickness comes from. And it allows you to change direction fast and efficiently. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Cooper Kupp using this 3-step rocker step at the top of the route to get some separation and to get that DB off. So now we're going to be looking at this kind of crossover release, if you will, here from Kyle Phillips. So Kyle Phillips is, if you haven't watched this guy's film, I would 100% recommend to check it out. If you're a young wide receiver and you want to get better at running routes, you want to get better at some of the things that you bring to the table, you have to check out his film because he is very, very talented and very, very explosive and very quick. So I wanted to include this because this is a clip from one of the bowl games they did in the offseason, I believe. And what he does is he attacks this DB's leverage. He gives a crossover move, so he gives a right, then a left, and then he runs a slant. And it's one of the quicker, twitchier moves I've seen. So it's play at full speed. So he comes off, 1-2, right? Gives that crossover, is able to get his head around and find that slant. So let's play it again, full speed one more time. How do you get that quick 1-2? And it's going to come down to everything that we have talked about in this video. So he's committing to him. He's attacking the DB. When he throws that first move, right? Where's he striking the ground? Arch of the foot, right? That's where his explosion is. That's where his power is. He's striking on the arch so he could push off of the inside arch. And what is he doing now? Hips and shoulders are committed with the foot, striking on the arch. But the third thing, fellas, that's going to give you that quickness and is actually going to let you sell the route is something I call throwing your hip. So what does throwing your hip mean? That is a way to get separation, but also to be able to get quickness. Because when a DB is in press, what a lot of wide receivers like to do is they like to operate laterally, right? So what they'll do is they'll take steps, like they'll take choppy steps. They'll try to be super quick. They'll try to rush the release, and they never actually threaten a DB vertical or threaten a DB inside. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean by actually like stepping outside of their frame. That is what's going to threaten them. So a lot of wide receivers, they think that, oh, I could just give a little quick head and shoulder fake and the DB is going to bite. That DB is looking at your hips. So if you don't actually step outside of his frame like Phillips does right here, and you don't actually threaten him in this direction, you're not going to get any separation. So that's what I mean by throwing your hip. Because now what people will do is, because they take it the wrong way, they'll think, oh, I just want to step outside of his frame then. So they'll keep their hips and their shoulders right down the middle, and they'll step super long with their feet. And when you already know, when you reach, what ends up happening? You strike the ground heel toe, your foot's outside of your frame, and you have no balance and you have no quickness. But if you guys can get in that habit of like almost attaching your hip with your foot, you make this cut, the hip goes with the foot. That can put you in a balanced, explosive, and quick position, but also at the exact same time be in a position to sell the route and move the DB off his platform. So fellas, make sure when you guys are trying to make quick cuts off the line, any kind of cut off the line, top of the route, you throw your hip with it, because you throwing your hip will sell, but it will also give you more quickness and more explosion. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great example here from Kyle Phillips. So to recap, fellas, number 1, got to commit your hips and your shoulders to any cut that you do, off the line, top of the route, whatever. Second tip, you got to make sure that you're striking the ground correctly. Arch of the foot, push off the inside arch. And then third, your hip is attached to your foot. You're bringing your hip with every single cut that you throw. Let's play it again one more time. Great job by Phillips attacking, throwing that crossover, and then getting separation on that slant. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. Your guys' feedback, really helps us keep rolling with the channel, coming up with new ideas ideas. So we definitely appreciate it. And again, fellas, we're coming out to 6 more cities across the country. We're coming out to Columbus, Ohio this weekend. The following weekend, we will be in Chicago, Illinois, then Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys want some more information on that, check out that very first link in the description below. Not going to be a long camp, not going to be one of those camps where it's 300, 400 kids out there and we're just going to time you in a 40 with a stopwatch. We don't do any of that. It's skill-based for 2 whole days. We're actually developing you and actually helping you get better. 4 hours each day, small group layout. So very first link below, fellas. I'll see you guys next time.